What's the reason for covering the challah when making Kiddush?
In fact, there's not just one reason. There are 4 reasons that are brought down. One reason is a reason that's brought down by the Alter Rebbe and Shulchan Aruch. It's actually brought down twice. It's brought down one time about Friday night Kiddush, and the second time when it comes to Shabbos, by day Kiddush. And the reason is that back in a time of the Mishnah, of the Gemara, they wouldn't just sit by tables like we have today. They would bring the table with all the food. Like we know by the Seder, they would bring the table, they would take away the table. And usually the way they would make Kiddush, and only after making Kiddush, they would bring the table to the people there. There's a long length about it. If you look in the 10th Perek, Arvei Psochim and Masechet Psochim, about bringing the table, taking away the table. It's also brought down Masechet Brachas with the anhagas that have to do with the way of acting by the Seudah, by the meal. Being that on Shabbos, especially today, we don't bring a table or take away the table because we sit by a big table and not every individual gets his table. What we do is we make Kiddush, but we cover the Chalas. And then it's called Peres Mapa Umekadish. We cover the Chalas, we make Kiddush. And after the Kiddush, when we remove the Mapa, we remove the cover of the Chalas, it's as if we just brought the Chalas in honor of Shabbos after the Kiddush already was recited. That's one reason that's brought down. In fact, it's the only reason that's brought down by Alter Rebbe, also Friday night, and also Shabbos by day. The other reasons are, one of the more famous reasons is that this way we commemorate the miracle in the Midbar when Am Yisrael were going through the desert of the man. We know that every single Friday they would get a double portion of man. Every day they would get one portion. On Erev Shabbos and Erev Yom Tov they would get a double portion. And that's why we have Lechem Mishnah, that's why we have a double bread when we make Hamoitzi. And just like Ben the man, they would first have a layer of dew, of tal. Over that there would be a double portion, and on top there would be another layer of tal, of dew. That same way, we put a mapo, we put a cover on the table. On that we place the 2 chalas, and over them we put another mapa, another cover on the chalas, just like it was in the time of the mon. Reason number 3 is the din kdimo in broches. The first thing that we should be making a bracha on, really based on the order, should be on hamoitzi. Should first be on the bread, but being that we cannot make hamoitzi without making Kiddush, we don't want to embarrass the challah, and therefore we cover the challahs, we make the Kiddush, and after we make the Kiddush, we uncover the challahs and we make hamoitzi, as we said, in order to have the regular Seder, Kedima, and Brachas. Usually the line they say is not to embarrass the challah. What's so embarrassing about the challah? It's a very interesting explanation that's brought down, being that really you could be making Kiddush on challahs. So the fact that somebody prefers to make Kiddush on wine, which is more honorable, more respectful, that itself is an embarrassment of the challahs, because really you could have made Kiddush on the challahs. Being that you chose to make the Kiddush on the wine, it could be some kind of an embarrassment for the challahs. That's why we cover. Maybe it's also connected to the famous Rashi in the end of Parshas Yisro about that when you go up to the Mizbeach, you should not be walking in a disrespectful way. That's why there's no steps. That's why they had a rail that was called the Kevish, and not to embarrass the Mizbeach. And Rashi says, L'ch'ura, Mizbeach doesn't get embarrassed. It's a piece of doimim, it's a piece of stone. But if somebody is careful not to hurt the feelings of even a stone, even the Mizbeach, so much more when it has to do with not hurting the feelings of other individual, another Yid, some other person and human being that is around you. That is the other reason. The last reason is a reason that it's brought down in Zohar, that all the brachas come from Shabbos. And in more particular, all the brachas come from the Seudah Shabbos. Being that in a bracha shruyo ela bedover hasomi min ha'ayin, that the bracha only comes down with something that's covered. That's why we cover the chalas before we make the bracha, in order to have somi min ha'ayin, covered from your eye, while the bracha is being recited. Based on all these 4 reasons, also the reason of havas, a shulchan bringing the table, also kedima and brachas, also the zeichel amon, and the idea of a bracha shruya, ela badovar hasomi min ha'ain. This brings out what happens if somebody makes Kiddush, but he doesn't have chalas. All he has is mezainis. He only has cookies or cakes, does he have to cover it? So if you want to say that the reason is because kedima and brachas, maybe it still applies. If you want to say the reason is because the idea of the bracha, so min ayin, here there's not the idea of the bracha because only mezainis. So there are opinions this way or that way, depends on the reasons for covering the chalas. The bottom line is when the Rebbe would make Kiddush or make a Beir Priagofen before Farbrengen, the mezainis was always covered. So really the right thing to do is to cover the mezainis, even if it's only mezainis and not lechem mishnah, you should cover the mezainis just the way the Rebbe would do by Farbrengen.